If you don't know when to shift your gears, I'm going to teach you exactly how to listen to your bike to be able to know when to shift gears. What's up guys, I'm Dakota Freeman and welcome to the Rad Adventure Dude channel. If you haven't subscribed yet, go ahead and hit the subscribe button and ring the bell so you get notified every time I post a video on dirt bike riding tips. When learning the right time to shift gears on our dirt bikes, it's all about listening to the bike and feeling the RPMs of the motorcycle. These tips that we cover in this riding lesson are really going to push you to getting better on your motorcycle and faster on the tracks and trails. Alright, so when we're learning when to shift gears on our dirt bikes, we want to briefly go over the controls so we know everything that we're working with. We're going to have the throttle, the clutch, and the gear shifter all used to be able to shift into the next gear. As you should know, we always want to use our clutch when going through these gears just to make it easier on our motorcycle. Before we even get into shifting gears, we want to go ahead and get the bike into first gear. So pull in the clutch, click the bike into first gear. You're then going to want to let the clutch out, and right as the bike starts moving, put on a little bit of throttle. This is going to get you rolling into motion. As you let out the clutch all the way and you're now rolling on the dirt bike and you just apply a little bit of throttle, you're going to hear how the RPMs of the motor get really high in first gear. This gear is not built for speed and it's only built for acceleration, which is why this happens. So whenever we want to shift up into second gear, we're going to want to turn on the throttle and you're going to hear the bike in first gear getting higher in the RPMs. As you are getting more acceleration in this gear, eventually it's going to plateau out where you start to lose momentum. Right when you hit the curve of this power in the gear is we want to let off the throttle, pull back in our clutch, shift the bike up into second gear, and then let the clutch back out. We don't have to do it with the throttle at the same time now. Since our bike's already rolling, we can just let the clutch out and then just get back on the throttle as you're ready. You're going to hear the RPMs of the motor be much lower now that you're up in second gear, and you really just want to focus on the throttle and being as smooth as possible. Even in second gear, you're going to now turn the throttle on, and as you start to go faster, you're going to feel the same thing happen again. You're going to feel the RPMs of the motor getting really high, and you're going to feel the curve of the power in this gear. So as we are climbing up the power, and right before again it plateaus out, you're going to want to do the same thing over again and shift up into third gear. The reason we have all these different gears is because when you're doing different things on your dirt bikes, you're going to be in different gears to handle them correctly. So once you shift through the gears a little bit, you're going to start to feel the differences between them. You're going to feel how the higher gear starts out with a much lower RPM and gets higher with the amount of speed you have. The lower gears are going to actually start out in a high RPM right off the bat to make sure you have plenty of acceleration no matter what situation you're in. So knowing the differences between these gears are really going to make you more confident on the trails, and they're going to make you a better dirt bike rider, because when you're out on the trails, you're constantly going to be going up and down through your gears to be right where you need to be in that moment. Depending on what's going on the trail or what's coming at you on the track, you always want to be in the proper gear to where when you turn the throttle on, you have proper acceleration and you don't bog the bike down. If you're feeling excited and confident on knowing when to shift gears on your dirt bike, make sure you like this video and drop some comments down below. And ask me any questions that you have. So now that we've covered through the basics of when to shift gears and knowing what each gear is going to be kind of used for, let's go ahead and get into some situations that we're actually going to need to be in different gears at different times. So when we're going up a big hill for the first time, how do we know that we're going to have enough momentum to make it all the way to the top? You're actually going to want to, depending on the situation of course, hold more speed coming into this big hill. You're going to be in a higher gear as you have more speed, and then once you make the transition and you begin to go up the big hill, you might start to lose speed, and at this point your RPMs in this gear are going to drop. So to keep your RPMs high and to make sure you have plenty of acceleration, as you make that transition and feel the RPMs go down, you actually want to shift down into the next gear. This is going to bring the RPMs back up again and make sure that you have more acceleration to continue driving up the hill. And when you come into this hill with more speed, it's going to give you more momentum to make it to the top already. So you're setting yourself up for success. Then, as you start to go up the hill and lose speed, you're going to shift down, and this is going to give you more acceleration to continue driving up the hill. If you shift down and it's not at a very high RPM and you feel that you could shift down again, do so to make sure you have the proper acceleration to get you all the way to the top of this hill. The next situation that I want to cover is going to be coming in and out of corners, because all of the time I see a lot of beginner dirt bike riders getting comfortable and shifting up into their gears. Then they come into a corner for the first time and they don't shift back down in gears and they stall the motorcycle. So to eliminate that, let's go ahead and talk about when to shift gears coming into our corners. So when we're coming into the corner, you're probably going to be coming in a higher gear. Well, as you're starting to slow down the motorcycle, go ahead and shift down the bike. When you downshift, you're going to feel the RPMs of the motor go up, and it's actually going to start to slow you down like a brake. As you feel this brake, you're going to know you're in the right gear because it's slowing you down. If you were to shift down and it doesn't slow you down at all as you're trying to slow the bike down, then you're going to know that you could probably shift down again to go ahead and get the RPMs up where they need to be. The higher the RPMs are as you're coming into this corner, it's just letting you know, one, that it's helping you slow down and brake, and two, that when you come out of the corner, you're in a low enough gear to, as soon as you turn on the throttle, the acceleration is going to be there and you can accelerate out of the corner. So when we come into this corner, we are going to be in a higher gear. We're going to downshift as we hit the corner. This is going to slow us down and give us good traction coming into this corner. Before you even get halfway through the corner, you already want to start to turn the throttle back on. This is when it's going to be important that you downshifted coming into the corner. So when you get back on the throttle, this has enough acceleration to really get you out of the corner. If you didn't downshift and you're in too high of a gear at this point, you're going to turn the throttle on and feel the low end of the gear kind of just bog out. Where if you downshift, you can get the RPMs up higher and really get a good drive coming out of the corner. So when we're going down a straightaway, the most important part of holding the most speed possible is getting into the highest gear possible. The higher gears are going to have a much faster drive going down the straightaways. So it's very important that when we're trying to hold the most speed or get the most speed out of the bike, that we get into the higher gears. As we're going faster on tracks and trails, simply shifting a gear up from where you think you want to be could make you a faster dirt bike rider. When we are talking about when to shift gears, how do we get the most speed out of the motorcycle? To get the most speed out of the dirt bike, we really want to shift up into the highest gears that we have. The higher gear that you're in has a lot longer power band, and in this gear, you're not necessarily going to have that high arc like we did in the lower gears where it goes from high RPMs immediately. This gear is going to start out at a much lower RPM and continue to get higher for a much longer time before you have to shift. And you'll feel this timing as you get better in shifting your gears, but when we're getting the most speed out of our dirt bikes, we're going to be in a high gear to where we really don't run out of the power band. So now that we know what gears have the most speed, what gears are going to have the most acceleration? The gears that have the most acceleration are going to be our lowest gears that we have. First and second gear are going to be the gears that you need to be in when you're going slow and you have to climb an obstacle, get through an obstacle, or you just really want to make sure that you have power as soon as you turn the throttle on. These lower gears are going to be what those are made for. The acceleration that you have coming out of a corner is going to be based on what gear you're in, and the lower gear you're in is going to have more acceleration. Eventually, you're going to feel where you need to be in at what time without even having to think about it. Another situation that when we want to be in these low gears is coming out of a corner. You don't want to come out of a corner and put the throttle on and it just boom. You want to make sure you're in a low enough gear to come out of the corner, and when you put that throttle on, you're already going to be hitting the power band and going much faster out of the corner. Then, before you run out of power, you're going to shift up to get into a higher gear to get more speed. This is how you know when to shift through the gears to be in the proper gear at the right time. This is how you get the most acceleration out of the dirt bike and how you get the top speed that you're looking for out on the tracks and trails. Are you struggling with your dirt bike riding and need more help? Well, I'm always here. I've put together a step-by-step course on my website that'll walk you through everything you need to know from going from a beginner rider all the way to an advanced rider. This dirt bike course is going to teach you everything you need to know about the tracks and trails and what you're going to see along the way. Make sure you guys hit the subscribe button and ring the bell so you don't miss out on any of my future dirt bike riding tips. After that, you can watch my next video right here on how to master your clutch. Stay rad, and I'll see you guys over there.